Have you ever stood before a completely unfamiliar place, yet felt as if you had belonged there a long time ago? Have you ever looked into the eyes of a complete stranger, but felt your heart tremble as if you had known them from another lifetime? Or has there ever been a moment when a scent or a melody passed by so lightly, yet suddenly stirred up vague memories within you? Memories of an era that your rational mind could not explain. What if those memories were not merely products of imagination, but actual remnants from your previous lives? Today, we will embark on a special journey. A journey not through space but through time, to touch upon a question humanity has asked for thousands of years. Who was I? Over the next 20 minutes, I will guide you through some of the strangest turns of the human mind. We will explore why deep meditation can awaken memories that seem to have long fallen asleep. We will encounter real-life stories, experiences that reach into the deepest layers of past life memories. We will also discuss common mistakes people often make when trying to explore their past lives. And, more importantly, I will share how you can practice deep meditation to open the door to those memories yourself, if you are truly willing. But before we begin, let me tell you a story. A man living in the peaceful suburbs of Vermont. He led a simple life, nothing extraordinary, until one day, during a deep meditation, he saw himself as a craftsman living in the 15th century in a small village in France. He remembered every detail: the smell of fresh wood, the warmth of the fireplace, the sound of a small stream flowing past the stone house. After that meditation session, he instinctively began to practice woodworking, mastering delicate techniques he had never been taught. He said it was not learning, it was remembering. That story is just one among countless pieces of evidence suggesting that parts of us still carry the memories of lives long past. Are you ready to embark on a journey to retrieve those memories, to discover a deeper part of yourself? If you are ready, then let us begin. There are questions that not everyone voices out loud, yet they always quietly exist in the heart of each person. Who am I? Where do I come from? Have I lived before? I have lived with those questions since I was very young, not because I experienced anything special, but simply because sometimes in my dreams I found myself standing in places I had never been to. I could feel the scent of wet grass from a strange field. I could hear the gentle sound of water flowing through an ancient village far away, whose name I had never known. At first, I thought it was just imagination, a trick played by the mind. But as I grew older, that feeling did not fade away. It grew stronger, deeper, like a vague call from within, urging me to explore, to embark on a journey, not across oceans, not across deserts, but through myself. Then signs began to appear very quietly, like the first light rains of the season. Once I walked past an antique store. My eyes stopped at an old wooden box. For some reason, my hands trembled when I touched it. In that moment, I could see myself, or someone very much like me, sitting by a wooden table, carefully carving similar patterns onto a box. I did not know whether it was fantasy or memory. I only knew my heart ached a longing without a clear form. And then meditation found me not as a method, but as a silent teacher. Through each deep meditation session, I realized that our brain holds far more than we think. There are layers of memories hidden beneath the surface of conscious awareness, just waiting for the right moment to awaken. Science calls it the alpha and theta brainwave states, where the boundaries between reality and the subconscious become thin. And in that fragile moment when the mind releases all control, past life, memories can find their way back. A real-life example. It is not just me. All over the world, many people have experienced similar strange moments. James Leininger, an American boy as young as 2 years old, remembered detailed events from the life of a World War II fighter pilot. The name of the aircraft carrier, the type of aircraft, even specific technical details. Everything was astonishingly accurate, even though his family had never exposed him to any information about the war. How could a small child remember things he had never learned, unless those memories had been imprinted on his soul long before he was born? A small lesson. Sometimes what we feel is far more important than what we can prove. If you have ever felt an unnamed longing, a strange connection to a certain place or era, do not dismiss it too quickly. Listen. Maybe it is your soul whispering, reminding you that you have lived, you have loved, you have sacrificed in lives whose memories have not yet faded away. So, when those memories arise, when those strange signs knock on the door of your soul, what is really happening to our brain and spirit? What is happening during deep meditation that can fling open the door to lives that have long slept? Let us dive deeper into that miraculous science in the next part. Here was a time when I used to think that meditation was simply sitting still, breathing, and letting the mind drift somewhere into the void. But then an experience changed everything. That day, I sat alone in a small room, the flickering candlelight casting faint reflections on the rough wall. No music, no guidance, just slow breathing and absolute stillness. At first, my mind wandered like a wild horse. Thoughts about work, family, and trivial worries ran endlessly. But then after an unknown amount of time, everything began to change. Thoughts gradually faded. The space seemed to expand, and I no longer felt my body. All that remained was pure presence. Later, when I studied more deeply, I learned that during deep meditation, the brain actually shifts into alpha and theta brainwave states. Alpha waves appear when we are deeply relaxed, such as just after waking up, or just before falling asleep. They are the bridge between consciousness and the subconscious, where the usual boundaries of everyday logic begin to blur. Theta waves go even deeper. They are the rhythm of dreams, of distant memories, and even metaphysical experiences. In the theta state, the doors to memory, not just memories of this life, have the chance to open. A real-life example. Research at the Monroe Institute, one of America's most renowned centers for consciousness studies, has shown that when people achieve prolonged, deep meditation, they often describe experiences that transcend time and space. They remember things that logic cannot explain. One of the participants, a doctor who was a materialist by belief, during a deep meditation session, saw himself living in the 17th century as an herbal healer in a small European village. At first, he thought it was merely fantasy, but the knowledge of traditional medicine, he remembered, was so precise that it later helped him create natural remedies to support his patients. A small lesson. When you meditate, remember that you are not creating images. You are simply allowing them to emerge naturally, without forcing, without expectation. The more you try to seek out grand images or thrilling stories, the further you drift from the true stream of memory. Silence is the greatest doorway, and humility is the key that opens it. So, when the doors begin to crack open, when past life memories seep back through each deep breath, what will we face? Are they just fleeting images, or are they true stories once deeply engraved in the soul? Let us continue this journey to meet those people living witnesses of past life memories. There are stories that when you hear them, you suddenly fall silent for a long time. Not because you believe immediately, but because somewhere in a small corner of your soul, you feel that maybe, just maybe, it could be true. One of those stories belongs to a little boy living in Louisiana, America. His name is James Leininger. From the age of 2, James began having violent nightmares. He would scream in the middle of the night, thrashing as if trapped in a burning airplane. When his parents asked, James answered with surprising coherence. "I was shot down. The plane caught fire. I died at Iwo Jima." The boy had never heard the word Iwo Jima before. At that time, no one in James's family had ever fought in World War II. Day by day, James revealed more specific details. The name of the aircraft carrier Natima Bay, the name of a fellow squadron member, Jack Larson, the type of airplane, Corsair. Every detail matched the historical records of the United States Navy. How could a 3-year-old child know such precise things unless because he remembered? Not with his mind, but with something deeper. Something so deep it could not simply be dismissed by reason. Another story comes from an adult, Jenny Cockle, living in the United Kingdom. Since her teenage years, Jenny had vivid dreams about another life. She saw herself as a woman named Mary Sutton in Ireland, a mother of 8 children living in the early 20th century. Those memories were not faint. They were clear like old film reels playing back. She saw the village, the dusty red roads, and the faces of each of her children. As she grew older, Jenny decided to do something no one expected. She traced the clues from her memories and began searching in reality. And then she actually found the children of Mary Sutton, now elderly but still alive. They confirmed all the details Jenny had shared, details that no book or record had ever preserved. A small lesson: past life memories do not come to everyone, and when they do, they are not always easy. They can confuse you. They can make you doubt yourself. But if you are patient enough, courageous enough to listen, those fragments can lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself. Not just about who I once was, but why I am who I am today. So, then on the path of exploring past life memories, what crossroads might easily lead us astray? What mistakes silently deceive us along the way? Let us move on to the next part to understand more about the subtle traps on the journey to find ourselves. There is something I must confess. On the journey to rediscover past life memories, I have not always walked the right path. There were times when I moved too fast. There were times when I blindly believed in every fleeting image. And there were also times when I painted beautiful stories, only to find myself drifting away from the truth. The first mistake: forcing memories to appear according to my own will. When you meditate, when you listen to yourself, if you carry within you a strong desire, I want to see myself as a king. I want to remember myself as a great warrior. Then that very desire will color every experience. You are no longer truly listening. You are seeking a beautiful answer crafted by your own wish. And as a result, you only see what you want to see, not the truth. The second mistake: letting imagination overshadow deep inner sensing. The subconscious is very subtle. It does not display grand cinematic stories. Sometimes it is just an old piece of cloth, a vague tear, a faint sound carried by the wind. But in the expectation of grand images, we easily overlook those delicate signals. And then imagination intrudes, painting flashy pictures, causing us to lose our way in the labyrinth we build ourselves. The third mistake: trying to live in the past instead of learning from it. There are people who, after remembering a past life, cling tightly to those images as if they define their entire being. They begin to declare my past life was someone great and forget that this present life is the most precious gift. Past lives are not for boasting, not for forgetting the present. Past lives are for understanding that what we carry today, pain, joy, talents, fears, all have deep roots. And by understanding, we learn how to live more fully here and now. A small lesson: if a past life memory is truly real, it will carry a very deep emotional weight. Not a glamorous illusion, but a quiet, heavy yet gentle feeling, like the first rains of autumn. Step into this journey with an open heart, without judgment, without expectation, without haste, because the truly precious things always take time to reveal themselves. So, if we are ready to let go of expectations, ready to listen deeply within, how can we meditate properly so that past life memories may naturally rise? Let us move on to the next part, a sincere and practical guide for you to open the door to that silent world yourself. If you ask me, how can I remember my past lives? I will not hand you a magical formula, nor promise you strange journeys. I can only share the way I have learned, through patience, through deep listening, and sometimes through silent tears. The first step: creating a sacred space for yourself. You do not need an ancient temple, just a quiet room, a comfortable chair, soft lighting, a subtle scent if you like, such as sandalwood or a touch of lavender. The most important thing is the feeling of safety. You must allow yourself to let go of everything. All worries, all expectations, just you and your breath. The second step: slowing down the mind through breathing. Breathe in deeply, very slowly. Hold your breath as if embracing the entire universe within your chest. Then slowly exhale, letting all tension drift away like a gentle breeze. Continue. Inhale, Exhale, like small steady waves lapping the shore. When you breathe slowly enough, deeply enough, your brain will shift from active beta waves to relaxed alpha waves, and gradually, if you are patient enough, theta waves will arrive. The door between the present and distant memories will begin to open. The third step, guiding the mind into a journey of discovery. When you have calmed down, visualize in front of you a door, an old door made of dark wood. You know that behind that door, a fragment of memory is waiting for you. No need to rush, no need to force, just stand there. Listen, feel. When you are ready, gently open the door in your mind and welcome whatever appears, a fleeting image, a sound, a scent, a feeling. No matter how small, trust that it carries meaning, a small story. I remember once during a deep meditation, the only thing that appeared was the image of an old reddish-brown scarf, gently fluttering in the wind. I did not understand. I felt disappointed, but days later, while wandering through a craft market, I stumbled upon a scarf almost exactly like it. And in that moment, a wave of emotion surged, a vague memory of a wandering life, of days crossing endless deserts, of freedom and also of loneliness. Memories do not always come as complete stories. Sometimes they are fragments, whispers, a soft touch upon the soul, a small lesson. On this journey, patience and trust are more important than any technique. Trust the natural wisdom of your soul. Trust that what needs to be remembered will come when you are ready to receive it. And when fragments of memory begin to shimmer in your mind, when past lives whisper their stories to you, you will realize that the purpose is not merely to know who you once were. It is to understand and to transform, to live more fully in this life. Let us now step into the final chapter of this journey, the precious lessons that past life memories can offer to our present. There are memories that even if they pass by in a fleeting moment are enough to change the way we see ourselves forever. When I first began connecting with fragments of past life memories, I thought that what I was seeking was the answer to the question, who was I? But it turned out, what mattered more was, what have I learned from it all? In those vague memories, I saw a person who had made mistakes, who had caused pain to others. I felt the weight of regret, the lingering sense of remorse that had not been released across lifetimes, and I understood the fear of loss that I carry in this life does not only stem from present wounds, but also echoes from words left unsaid, love left unexpressed in the past. An important lesson: past lives are not merely stories to satisfy curiosity. Past lives are mirrors to help us see more clearly the invisible baggage the soul carries. Lessons unfinished, wounds that need healing, bonds of affection that seek continuation. A real-life example. I once spoke with a woman who through meditation remembered her past life as a soldier during medieval times. She shared that in that life she fought tirelessly to protect the land, a family, a love. But in the end, everything was lost. Love shattered, family scattered, and in this life, she carried a deep fear of loving, afraid that loving someone too much would once again lead to loss. Recognizing this, she no longer ran from love. She learned to open her heart, to accept that love always carries with it vulnerability, and that is its true beauty. A small reflection: when you look into your past lives, do not just ask, who was I? Ask instead, what lessons has my soul learned? And what do I still need to complete in this lifetime? Because in the end, every journey, every memory, every experience, whether painful or beautiful, all lead us toward a common point, the growth of the soul. And if you listen, truly, deeply, with sincerity, you will realize you are not the result of a single lifetime. You are the symphony of hundreds, thousands of journeys past. Each note, whether sorrowful or joyful, is essential to creating the person you are today. Conclusion: the journey of rediscovering past life memories is not about returning to the past. It is about walking more firmly in the present, loving more deeply, living more fully, and ultimately, being grateful for everything that has ever happened. Thank you for accompanying me on this silent journey, a journey not through space, but through time, through the gentlest waves of the soul. If you have ever felt those strange signs, those wordless calls from deep within, do not ignore them. Perhaps it is your soul whispering to you. Remember,